So today we are about to see a fiction of R.K. Narayan. The setting of fiction is around 1930s, where chapter 1 begins with Ramani, who is the breadwinner of his family, complaining about the meal. Savitri, who is the wife of Ramani and the mother of Sumati, Kamala, and Babu, never interrupted her husband with an explanation, and her silence sometimes infuriated Ramani. In chapter 2, the author introduces the only friends of this subservient Savitri. They are Gangu and Janama. Gangu is humorous and ambitious, whereas Janama is elderly and rich. They hate each other even though they are friends with Savitri. In chapter 3, Ramani harshly demands his wife to accompany him to the theatre, showing that he is a ruling authority, whereas Savitri is pushed to the margins of being an other. Through the cinema they watched, Ramani gives an indirect lesson to Savitri by showing Kuchala's wife how she was patient and uncomplaining. When Savitri tells her son, Babu, that he should see this film, unaware of the stereotype it will inculcate in the boy, Babu shows his disinterest in Indian films and he adores Shirley Temple and her film Curly Top. Chapter 4 details the Navratri preparation, where Babu takes interest in the doll decoration. He brings Chandru, his friend, to fix ornamental bulbs, but due to short circuit, the entire current goes off. Seeing this, Ramani is very furious as he enters home in a dark state. He reprimands Babu not to look after this doll business because it is a woman's work. Situations created by his father make Babu understand that crying belongs to womanhood. Chapter 5 describes the advent of a young lady in Ramani's office. This authoritative husband decides to cheat on his wife Savitri. Shantabai, she is given a room in the same office building with a probation for 6 months on the condition of canvassing worth 10,000 rupees within first 2 months. After her probationary period, salary will be 150 rupees per month. Ramani starts an affair with Shantabai. He goes out with her and comes home very late, and this continues till Savitri is questioned by her neighbors about the activities of her husband. But she defends her husband's recent activities and puts away her suspicion. Later, Gangu visits her and talks about the town's happening. She reveals about the town's gossip to Savitri. Savitri's husband, who had been along with a young, beautiful woman in a theatre. That was a gossip spreading throughout the town. After Gangu leaves, Savitri wishes that her husband would at least come back that night. But the next day dawned, yet Ramani did not arrive. When he comes home late that night, Savitri, for the first time, questions her husband's activities, and this enrages Ramani. She demands Ramani to leave that lady, but he refuses. So she throws away all that Ramani had bought for her and leaves the house in the middle of the night. Chapter 6 to 12. The readers are driven along with the plight of the poor woman Savitri and how the societal stereotypes push her to the margins. Savitri leaves her home in the middle of the night and heads towards the river and attempts to drown herself. At that moment, the locksmith or umbrella repairer and also the blacksmith of Sukur village named Mari saves her from drowning. Next morning, Punni and Mari meet Savitri. Mari's wife, Punni, suggests that Savitri should come with them. When Savitri asks what Punni would do if her husband had an extramarital affair, Punni says that men should always be kept under rod and Mari would never dare to do it. The author contrasts the character of Savitri and Ponni using this incident. The upper middle class woman, Savitri, wanted to end her life, whereas Ponni keeps her man at the right place. Ponni advises Savitri to either come to her house or return back to where she came from. Savitri dreaded the thought of going back to her husband's roofs. Next, the scene shifts to Ramani waking up from his troubled sleep and recollecting the fact that Savitri had always been docile and obedient, and he had never seen the fiery part of Savitri for these past 15 years. He had expected Savitri to sulk back in the dark room for few days and accept her life as it is, or rather, she should have requested him to stop this affair. But nothing had happened. She had left the house. He had never seen this version of Savitri. He thinks that modern women read English novels, play tennis, go to pictures, and that was women's movement according to him. The responsibility of running a household has come upon Ramani, and he was going to prove that no one was indispensable in this world. On the other hand, Savitri demands a work from Ponni and not free food. So Mari goes throughout the village to find a job for her. Finally, he finds a priest who offered to accept Savitri. After firing numerous embarrassing questions, he allowed Savitri to enter the temple. Her job was to keep the temple clean and to tend the garden. The old priest harshly demanded the works from Savitri, and the devotees filled the temple to see the mysterious woman who had run away from her home and had come to their village. At the end of the day, everyone went home, and Savitri felt desolate and petrified to stay alone in the temple. She grew homesick and thought about her children, home, and her accustomed comforts. Next morning, she knocked the door of the priest and declared that she was leaving. Ponni was overjoyed to hear it. Savitri blessed Ponni for the kindness she had shown Savitri. Meanwhile, Babu asks his father if his mother was even alive. Ramani was disturbed by this question. He went out for a ride. He drove aimlessly, hating his wife who had made him suffer this situation and hating Babu who had disturbed his peace. So this shows how stereotyped Ramani is. He should have repented after a fiery conversation with his wife, but he did not repent of his misdeeds. Instead, he accuses his wife and his children for driving him peaceless. In the last chapter, Savitri returns to her house and her habitual duties of an obedient wife. Ramani does not welcome her warmly, instead maintains his attitude of dominance. He comments on her as usual and had the pride of giving great privileges to his wife. The author reminds how the favorite bench of Savitri is still in the office for Shantabai, showing that nothing has changed from her previous torturous life. Savitri fears the patriarchal society and does not identify Mari when he passes by her house. Savitri reflects how a part of her is dead and she no longer carries her self-respect. She feels guilty for not having recognized Mari, who had saved her life and sustained her for nearly 4 days. The author ends his fiction by Savitri's words, "Why should I call him here? What have I?" These words strike the very basic reality women go through in the society.